Hello, everybody. I'm Crystal, and I'm here today with Brandy Osborne, the elemental being. I'm super excited that you're here to speak with me today. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Brandy. You can take a
Thank
moment and just sink in and introduce yourself to this amazing group of humans who are here to listen to us today. I am so inspired by the work that you do. So please take a moment, let us know who you are and what you do.
mm. So I would say I literally am an elemental being. I'm a soul, a spirit, a human in form in this reality right here, right now. I'm also a multidimensional therapist. I've been in the human performance field for 19 years now, providing massage therapy and then slowly into many different elements. And the elemental coach eventually is what I guess I also relate to. I've had such beautiful experiences throughout my life where I've been able to work with professional athletes. I always like to speak to it because it really built me. I worked with Hockey Canada for years. I still work with many NHL players, Cirque du Soleil, and also just many humans that really just want to tap into the felt sense of feeling good in their body, feeling whole, feeling at peace, and to be able to navigate life with ease, physically. And then slowly I got into, truly because of my own personal experiences, I got more into the mind and emotions and the energetic currencies of the body. And during COVID, actually, I ended up creating the Elemental Being, this platform to help men and women and youth navigate life, and giving them many, many different tools. And from there, I then also developed the Elemental Athlete, which is a pillar underneath that. And then now this IamReWilding movement. I realized that all my experiences have built me for this movement as well as other things, but really to give people tools, strategies, practices to claim peace and presence, and I guess wellness in the body. Yeah, I'll leave it at that for
That
now.
is beautiful. And just hearing you speak, you have a lot of expression in the way that you use your words. And, as an entrepreneur, speaking to you as an entrepreneur with, I would say, multifaceted areas of passion and purpose and bringing it all together. I get soul bump saying it, but bringing it all together to this place of it's not a job, it's a way of being, and recognizing that in you, that it's a way of moving, it's a way of being, it's a way of thinking, of responding. And I just love the flow of it all. And I'm really curious. I'm like, what inspired you to be an entrepreneur, come into this line of work? Have you always been in this line of work, or did you know, that inspiration, that spark? We could dive a little deep into that.
Um, it's quite interesting because I actually come from a blue-collared family. Like no one went to college or anything like that. For me, it always felt good to work hard. It always felt good to be proud. I always carried a lot of pride around what I was doing, even if I was getting paid, back in the day, $5 an hour. I really wanted to do it with I guess passion and purpose. And I think I've always lived my life that way. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. So eventually when, it really, I think everyone has that story where it took being in this job that I actually really liked. I was a manager of a fishing department, which is really interesting, but it's that service industry. I feel like everyone
Yes.
should be in that where you really understand what people need and then you help them get what they need. And so being in that for 6 years, and then I had an experience, like challenging experience with a manager for about a year, where I just got good at suffering and got good at, I guess, just managing my authenticity so that I could be safe in his presence. And eventually, I guess, I came home one more time crying, and it was like, okay, you need to do something different. And at that time, I had some friends that were older than me, going to college, getting their masters, women in my life. And I just started, I guess, mirroring them. And they said, well, I always thought you'd be a good massage therapist. And I was like, oh, what is that even all about? So then I went on this pursuit to different experiences and someone once said like this, it's the hardest thing I ever did, but I'm so happy I did it. And it was the hardest thing I ever did. For some reason that got me salivating, it got me breathing deeply, and it got me just like inspired for, I want to do something hard, you know? And it was all about the human anatomy. It wasn't until second year that I fell in love with it. And then it's been an 19 year passion, pursuit, vocation. I love it. It's so like the human body, the human mind, the human experience is so scientific, but also abstract, magical, mystical. And for me, it was like the most authentic expression of me, where I could show up 100%, be so in tune to someone else, really support people, give them tools to then go navigate their life. And it's been so fulfilling for me. And for me to naturally become an entrepreneur, I wanted to, because I knew my values and my work ethic and who I was. There's no one out there like me. I knew that at that time. I was 30 when I became registered. So I actually was 26 when I went to college. And for me, it's been just like a beautiful pursuit of experiential wisdom.
Yes.
Saying yes to many things that made me uncomfortable, but it just felt good that I got to say yes, or I got to build that door for opportunity to knock. Like I love that.
And to be so open to receive that, going down this path of what you're explaining to me, you really embodied your practice. And since then, the evolution of what you've really claimed and how it's, I see it as like this beautiful, sparkly dream catcher web that's really just gone out into all these very aligned, but like the words that you use when you speak, I don't know what it is, but they're very, well, I do know what it is. They're high frequency words, and the language that you speak comes straight from your soul. So even being in your presence, and we've had a couple opportunities to work together, I know who you are, because it comes out of every piece of your soul and your storytelling, the way that you connect with this rewilding movement, the way that you're bringing in your massage, you bring, like, even looking behind you, I'm just like, wow, it just, everything has so much depth to it. And like this foundation of, this is who I am. And, you know, being an observer of your life, and I'm so attracted to the way of rewilding, which we'll get into. But I'm the first to like tell you certain things that are going on in my world, and you remind me to connect back to home, which is inside. So when you speak about your evolution and where you've come from, it excites me, because you follow the seeds, right? You're following the seeds, you're following the nudges, you're following either the signs or the connections, and you're moving with what is your foundation.
Yeah, and like as you're saying that, I'm just what's coming to my mind right now is I've had such a beautiful authentic expression when it has come to, and very, very known yeses and nos, boundaries, realizations within my professional life. And I think that I had really, when I was born, I was considering others. Like I literally, so for me, that power of knowing what do I need to be my best so that I can show up for you. So whenever I was in my profession and really focusing on that, I was well hydrated, I was well taken care of. I never said yes to a treatment or to any job opportunity that didn't feel like a full body yes.
Yes.
And then what I realized is, as I was, you know, this whole rewilding movement, the elemental being, and this really deep pursuit of realization or actualization of self over the last 3 years, has been that like journey of realizing that when it came to my home life and that arena, so my arena of my work life, it was like, oh yes, you know, no one will tell me. I had certain situations where they were trying to mold me or ask me to do things a certain way, and I'm like, doesn't feel good, because I couldn't not be authentic, even if it was in a massage stroke or something, right? Like I could tell you some stories, but we'll leave it for another time. But for me, I really found like it wasn't until I had kind of 2 relationships back to back that were really challenging for me, but also beautiful in a lot of ways. But one that was 9 year, one that was like 1.5 years. But it wasn't until I literally found myself on the floor one day with a partner on top of me, attacking me verbally and physically, that I realized like it was this awakening process that was slow, because I had gone back, because my power of considering others really brought me back, and my yearning, salivation to learn. I was like, ooh, we get to learn through this. But it wasn't until I was actually using these tools and these strategies, and I found myself on the floor one day, and I was using this breath work, using this ability to communicate, where I realized that I had been abandoning myself, that I'd been betraying myself, and that it came from mirroring my parents, mirroring their parents, and this realization of this forgiveness of others and forgiveness of self, of why I kept saying yes to what love looked like, but it wasn't what it felt like for me. And then this realization of, and we've done this before with your beautiful power up opportunity, where it was like I just went on this self-obsession, self-discovery journey, and it was so beautiful. And that's where the IamReWilding came from. Like, it came through my journaling, it came through a download saying, I'm going to write this book, as I'm witnessing it being written, and this realization of it's going to happen, I don't know how, and just knowing I'll be supported. And then it was like a year of writing in 14 journals, and it was all navigating this, but it was building this. And now it's like all of a sudden I'm like, I see, I hear, that like there's no shortcut, there's a marinating process. And there's this where I had to like let a lot go for me to be able to come into this moment, to be able to share it authentically and with such an open heart, because I used it to heal myself and to come into this moment. It's like so beautiful.
I haven't cried yet on one of these, but maybe it's just I love you so much. And thank you for including me and this community alongside this rewilding experience and movement, because knowing your story on a deeper level, and I know our listeners below will post information on how you can dive deep into, as Brandy says, salivation, and really tapping into the juiciness of what this rewilding movement is all about. But hearing your story and seeing you off grid, can we dabble a little bit into that? Because it just excites me, like the bathtub, all of the things, the fetching, the walking, the connecting, the beingness, the journaling. What was that experience? And maybe just if you could tie up a little bow for our listeners as to what exactly we're talking about when you went into the woods for, I believe it was 28 days.
Yeah. So for me, when I got into that desperate moment, I just knew that I needed to, and it wasn't to escape my life. It was to actually come back to my life, come back to the soul essence, the heart essence of me. So the whole year before I went off the grid for those 28 days, I had chosen to take, it was about a month and a half throughout the year, I had chosen to take off where I needed like 5 days to myself to just listen to my heart, my soul, my spirit, and to just hear what it had to say, and to shed those tears in that. And then slowly like I was saying, in that February of last year, I got that note in my journal saying that I'm going to write this book, wrote 14 journals. And then I just had this real need to take it to another level. I was like, okay, what's the next level? The next level is being snowmobiled into a space off the grid where it's like minus 38, and to be left there with a generator and wood. So I had that, and then I had pre-packed 40 meals into a cooler. So I had enough meals that were soup and chili and those kind of things. And I loved every moment. And what happened was I brought up all those 14 journals, my laptop, and I structured my day where I was able to, like, I love, as you know, I love cold. And I think for me, when I have my feet in the snow or I'm walking naked around the cabins, I'm so alive. And I really realized the resiliency and the beauty of the physiology, like my physiological mind from years of passion, 19 years of learning about arteries, veins, muscles, ligaments, tendons, chemistry, the soul, the spirit. I love witnessing my body navigate stress. So here I am choosing to go out, walk in the snow, walk around the cabin. Every day it got a little bit longer. And one day I walked all the way across the lake. So it was about a 20-minute walk where I was just naked and I was wearing my sorels. But I just witnessed my body going from, because there's this beautiful, once your skin is the temperature of the air, there's like quite a bit of time where now you're just in the sack of 36 degrees. So you're actually warm inside if your mind can stay relaxed. So I was using all these strategies, and I wrote and I walked, and I literally walked for an hour along some links tracks, which for sure had my spine erect, my senses aware. I couldn't not be on my feet because it wasn't safe. And that was real for me. It's real for anyone in that situation. I needed to hear what was happening around me, and I was able to navigate it. I walked across like cougar prints, and although I was aware of the reality of it's safe to have fear, this is helpful, I was able to just see how present every paw was, and then I just started witnessing my bare feet in the snow and how I was leaving an impact in the snow, impact in the world, and just realizing how every breath in and every breath out is impacting the world. Like we're just in this earth, this like system where there's this continual exchange, and just aware of my skin and how beautiful it felt and my senses. And for me, there were some challenging moments, but they were more like real moments where I knew I was going on a 3-hour hike and I didn't want to break my ankle or anything. I wanted to have food. If something happened, I needed wood. I needed to be so present, or I wasn't going to be safe. And then I wasn't being self-responsible. I had no phone. I could not call anyone. I had to rely on myself and just be smart and trust, So that was like beautiful for me, cutting my own wood, putting my own wood in the stove. I had to get up 4 or 5 times a night to make sure I kept warm. One night I slept through it and I woke up to no fire and really cold, and to be able to just stay calm in that moment, I knew exactly where my light was every night, just peeing in the woods, like it was just so beautiful.
So beautiful. I'm just so curious about the integration from going out into the wild, coming back into this busy world with a lot of noise. How do you feel your body, your mind, your soul integrated back in? And maybe we can get into some of these tools that we've been peeking around about, because there's something there when you come out and you're reconnecting with yourself, and then you come back into the matrix, or you come back into life as it is. There's this shock to the system. Maybe we can touch a little bit about what your experience was there.
And that's what this rewilding, IamReWilding movement is. It's a claim. It's a choice to literally say, I am rewilding. And that does not mean to be in the woods with your feet on the earth. It means to have that felt sense right in the same moment that they're building next to me, right in the same moment you're hearing the concrete truck show up, the neighborhood dog barking, this ability, and your mind can go to like, oh man, like hard to escape it, or it can become present there and accepting there with these little strategies where we can claim that felt sense of being wild and free, even in this 3D reality, because the reality is we are here and we must be. And if we can be present and at peace here, we're going to be adding a lot more to the world. We're going to be adding a lot more smiles, a lot more deep, compassionate conversations. So for me, I had started that a year or so ago with this awareness and attention challenge, where so slowly I've been developing different things where we were just aware of our feet for a whole week. We were just aware of our hands, because when you're in the woods, you can't not be aware of your feet, because you're very aware that you could trip and fall, and it's not like it's just flat. It's new. Every step is a new step. It's not the same as walking from your bedroom to the fridge. So we tend to start being mindless when we're at home. And when we're there, we might feel a sense of an abstract perception of what peace feels like, but it's more numbing, and it's more just choosing to not hear the kids talking behind you versus hearing them but still feeling present. So for me, that's what the I am rewilding, and I would love to actually guide you through it, because that's the biggest thing. I was like, I can't, it's not about a book. Yes, I want to create a book, and I think it's beautiful. I love reading books. Every time I read a book, I think, wow, thank you so much for taking the time to put it into writing for me. And yet I just couldn't wait. I just wanted to share these tools right away, because I'm like, man, like this rewilding movement is a ripple of shift inside, where we're able to choose consciously in that moment. It's like, oh, wow, I'm really being pulled out of my reality by this concrete truck, the dog barking, by time. I know I have to be somewhere in 20 minutes. All these things that I'm feeling a little like I'm a puppet being pulled. And for me, it's like, ooh, how do I cut those strings from the outside world to come back into present? And yeah, maybe let's just I'll share my
play.
Let's do it. All right. So I'm going to put it up, and then you can tell me. Actually, let's just do one at a time here. All right. So I'm going to switch you so I can see your beautiful face at the top of my screen. Inspiration, someone to share with. Okay. So these are simple practices. One is I'm present, I'm peace, and I'm primal. So this specific one that everyone, if you're interested in this and you want to be dedicated, devoted, diligent, self-obsessed, this will help you. If you want to be a light for your kids, for your family, for the world, or just to feel peace in yourself, these are beautiful strategies that are very simple, but yet it takes diligence, devotion, and reverence to really do it long enough. It's a 5-week journey where you start to feel the shift. You start to see your world differently. You start to hear differently, and you start to feel what peace feels like. And then you slowly get so reverent where you are unwilling to not feel that peace, even if you're in a storm of an emotion of anger or anything like that. So the first one is, I call it the elemental practice of I'm present. The intention is to be present, to be mentally and emotionally free. Just even reading those words, like how beautiful if, you know, me and you, if we felt mentally and emotionally free, how present could we be for the wisdom coming up for our heart and for others? So the awareness here, sorry, yes?
No, I just said it's beautiful.
You're beautiful. So the awareness is when you are no longer present. So that's the key, is you start to come into I'm rewilding, which means I am present. I am choosing to be present, which means I am now becoming a witnesser of my life, my body, my physiology. I'm aware when I'm no longer present, because maybe I can't find my keys right now, and I have to be somewhere in 10 minutes and it takes 12 minutes to get there. It's like, okay. So we have these moments where we realize, ooh, we were not present. We are kind, compassionate. We find our keys. We show up late. We apologize. And the next time we use these practices, okay? So this is where you're just using your eyes with intention. And what I would get you to do is just look, maybe it's looking at something in if you're looking at my screen, or maybe you're looking at a word on the sheet. If you want to look at your computer or beyond it, you just choose to look at something. You see the shape of it, the form of it, the texture of it, of an object that you're choosing to look at, and you inhale. And you exhale as you're seeing. So you're aware you're inhaling and exhaling. The next breath, as you're looking at that, be aware of what it feels like to inhale. Do you feel the size of your body change? Does it grow? Does it get smaller? Do you feel that the air is a different temperature coming in than when it is leaving? And all at the same time, you're aware of, what are your hands doing right now? Maybe you bring them to your body. What are your feet doing? And then you're aware of your face, your jaw, and you soften them. You just create a little bit of space there. There's no need to hold our jaw so tightly. We need space at the jaw so we can hear and we can see and we can smell. So now I'll get you to look to another spot in a totally different direction and just finding one little beautiful magical component of it. And just while you're looking at it, you're breathing in, the face is relaxed, eyes, jaw, hands, feet, we are present. Maybe you feel the presence of your spine, your lungs as it rises and falls. Doing one more breath here. Now coming back to midline, and we're going to close the vision. So when the vision is open, the gateway to the nervous system is open. The vision takes up a lot of the brain, majority of the brain. That's how we connect with our environment. So when it's on, it's a little bit harder to feel the felt sense of breathing. So you choose to close that gateway and you just breathe. And you breathe in, you breathe out. And you start to be fascinated by how your lungs are feeling and how they're emptying. Maybe fascinated that the heart between them as you breathe in feels a little stretched. The sternum feels like it rises. The palms are on the hands and the body. You feel the rise and fall, air coming and going. Just 5 conscious connected breaths. And just tuning into how you feel right now. Do you feel present? Do you feel the earth beneath your feet, what you're sitting on? Do you feel the air touching your cheeks? Air entering your body. And then just slowly, as it feels good, open your eyes, but maybe keep your gaze down at yourself, where you're just looking at yourself while you breathe in. A breath in, a breath out. And then you're going to raise your head, maybe find another spot, breathe in, breathe out. And then just coming back to me. And breathing in, breathing out. So the biggest challenge in life is we can become puppets when we're not conscious, where we're actually pulled out of our experience, where we're actually leaning forward as we step versus right above our feet as we step. So slowly, when you do this, and it can be just a quick second of even one breath, where you just realize you don't have that much time. The kids still need their meal packed. You're not sure where your keys are, and you just choose to, for one moment, you just stop. And I'll say, Brandy, Brandy, Brandy. Okay. We are feeling a little pressured right now. And I choose to, I look at one thing and I breathe in. Another, breathe in. I feel the rise and the fall, close my eyes, have a moment. So it can literally be like a 30, 60-second journey. And all of a sudden, time slows down. You feel hope, you feel peace, and you're like, all is going to be okay. So this is how I merged it back. Where when you're in the woods, you're kind of residing there. Or when I see those cougar prints, it's like, okay, let's just come back to the breath, come back to the senses, come back to awareness. So I can be a receptacle to life and I can respond as needed, instinctual, intuitive. Yeah.
It's beautiful because it's in you. It's inside of you. You don't have to look for anything to do your, it's way of being. It's your breath and your pause. I love that.
And for me, like if I were to relate it to, your world, you're on the computer a lot. I have my hands on people a lot, or like I'm not on here too much. But how I do it here is every time I sit at my computer, I sit, I feel my feet, I feel my surface, and I come into this, I am present. Sometimes I reverse it where I close my eyes first and then I just come out into that environment. But it's important I feel like I am, a very intentional, aware, receptive, responsive, compassionate therapist. Because as I walk into my room here, even though it's in my home, I'm looking at the knob to it. As I walk in, I look at my framed items. I have all these things in my room that capture my attention. And then I'm here. I'm not in the kitchen that is right on the other side of the door. I'm here. And I think that is, if there was one that everyone just obsessed about for their life, it would be this one. And it will really, really, really help you. And then when I come to the computer, I look at, and then I'll notice before every before I send an email, or if I notice all of a sudden I'm, typing really fast, and that I realize, oh wow, I'm also breathing fast. And I feel tension in my shoulders, my hand. So right away, I give myself this breath of presence where I just look around and it's like, can I add ease into my life? And all of a sudden, my feet are relaxed, my spine is relaxed, my shoulders are relaxed. And now I'm sending a more present email as well.
Love that. The ripple effect.
The ripple effect. So let's do I am peace. And I think with this one, I'm going to just guide through it. But maybe before we could speak to, for you go off the grid a lot as well. You have a busy household. You're super ambitious in many different realms. Like, what is an area, or can you remember a time where you just realized that you didn't really feel at peace? Like, just like give a scenario, and maybe we can use that scenario as kind of a meditation to navigate this tool.
Absolutely. I've shared this with you before, that we do go off the grid. We have our little spots that we love to go and be. And when we're out there, it's very simple life. There's no clutter, no kid stuff, no toys. There's a few things, but we like to play with sticks and in the forest with nature and all those beautiful things. And so when I come back into my home and my space, I'm not feeling as connected with it anymore. I'm not feeling like I'm grounded in my space. Things are agitating me. I can notice that I need to go through a purge. And just my physical body is not relating to my external environment in my home anymore.
Yeah, very real.
Yes.
I think everyone listening can realize that, and hopefully, because that means you did have a moment of peace, which means you know when you're not there.
Yes.
I think that that's the biggest thing. But also, if you haven't experienced that and you experience this practice here, you'll feel, oh, this is what peace feels like, where there's nothing on my mind. There's no worry of tomorrow in my traps. There's a conscious breath flowing in. Okay, so let's just we'll navigate this. So I think the first we'll read through the front. It's just, again, I think it's just claiming. What are you claiming? I am peace. All right. The intention to feel at peace. Keep it simple. Awareness. Mind is busy. Thinking is not clear or helpful. Feeling anything other than calm. So here you are realizing I'm not connected, and it doesn't feel good. Maybe, I don't know if you'd use the word, and it doesn't feel helpful considering all that I have to do today. And so in this moment, like, this is where if you were coming back, I would actually like do this first thing in the morning before you even get out of bed. Because how many of you, as soon as here you are off the grid, when you wake up, you might have some to-dos because you have little projects you're doing, right?
Like chopping wood.
Like chopping wood. But when you wake up, like, I always have a liter of water by my bed. I sit up, I drink my liter, I lie back down. And in that moment, so I'll just get you to essentially, this is a closing of the eyes practice. And it can be opening the eyes too, but we'll just be, here you are in your bed, you woke up, and right away, your mind starts thinking, ooh, I've got this call today, I've got that today, I've got to get the kids here, oh, I'm organizing this event this weekend. And you start to hear that that the household's starting to wake, so you don't even have a moment alone. Everyone is going to be out there when you wake up. You've got to engage. So in this moment, you're just, in your mind, it's like, no, I'm going to come back home for a moment. And you bring your hands to your body. I always love to have one on my sternum, one on my belly, just aware of the heart, the lungs, the presence of you, aware of the guts, the organs, the belly of you. And you just come into your breath. You relax again, your eyes, your jaw, your face, your hands, your feet. And with this one, you roll your eyes up and in, and you choose to look between the eyebrows there. So the vision is engaged even though the eyes are closed. And in 3, 2, 1, you're just going to exhale out all your air and then hold it out at the bottom for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you're going to breathe in all the way in, nasal breath in for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale out to your mouth for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding out for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Breathing in all the way in. And you're just starting to manage yourself. Just hold it as long as it feels good, about 5 seconds. You don't need to count. Exhale out, holding it out. Eyes stay rolled up and in. Keep navigating that experience. And I'm just going to share some of the science behind it. Our brain, a good 60% of it is communicating to our eyes, our jaw, our face, our hands, our feet all the time. If we're tense in our hands, we're tense in our mind. If we're tense in our jaw, we're tense in our spine and our mind. So when we can choose to soften all these areas, there's a ripple effect that happens. And then you choose to feel how your body is suspended by air. And there's this inflation and deflation. So you're starting to shift your chemistry. This is why you're feeling at peace, because you're shifting your chemistry. And when you roll the eyes up and in, studies show you can't be in the thinking brain. You're in the feeling brain, which is the spine, the lungs, the heart of you, the skin of you. And then ever so slowly, as it feels good, again, you're going to come out of this experience looking down at yourself, taking a breath in, and then just slowly, as you raise your head, looking at something else, breath in, and you're back. So you can do this first thing in the morning, and all of a sudden, maybe as you're walking to the kitchen, you're a little more present in your feet. Just all of a sudden, time slows down. For me, when I feel at peace, I also feel hope and courage and faith and trust. I know we have to manage our time here, but the other way that I would say is, here you are walking to the fridge, and you are also reaching over to turn the coffee on. You're in the fridge and you're like, oh, I saw the laundry just went off. I got that. The phone just pinged. And it's just like all in a moment, your eyes are open. And as you go to open the fridge, you're present in your hand, and you open it and you breathe in and you pause. You grab your creamer and that, you exhale, you pause, you close the fridge. So this can be used navigating life as your kids like talking over you while you're speaking or whatever on the phone. You just have a moment before responding where you breathe in and you pause. You breathe out and you pause. It's just a really quick way to go from like sympathetic, where there's like this crossing of energy, to parasympathetic, where you're more of a clear portal and you're calm and you're at peace. So that little pause can be used literally. You could do it while you're talking to me right now. But doing it first thing in the morning, every day, starting your day that way, it's no different than also making your bed every day. You will feel at peace. And then you'll start using it throughout the day, just obsessively.
I giggle over here because, I've had your little IamReWilding on the fridge, and now my 13-year-old has been, reading and bringing some practice into her world. And it's just been a grateful tool it's beautiful, by the way, like the colors and everything too. So
this is actually up at Acres Lake, like this. I took this picture.
Yeah, the picture has the frequency as well, but it's integrating it into the daily life where it just becomes part of the household. So thank you for having this as a resource, and also just reflecting on how I'm integrating it, not just for me, but with the family as well, is pretty fun.
Yeah, so good. And then you add it even in a moment where you're already at peace. And it feels so good. Like all of a sudden, for me, it slows down time. Because when I'm off the grid, time doesn't really seem to be a factor. But when I come back on, and when I say on the grid, like I can be on my grid, or I can also be on the man-made grid, and that has a little more fear and anxiety and pressure of time. So it's important to be able to rewild yourself in each and every moment of every day. Yeah. So the last one is pretty simple because it's actually an accumulation of the two. So the top two, you're going to do as you see fit. I always just say, like, merge it into one thing you're already doing every day. So essentially you could do I am peace when you first wake up. And as you open your eyes and you realize you're lifting the sheet up, you're putting it down, your feet are now on the earth, you're standing up, you're walking, oh, I'm on carpet. So you start to maybe go from first thing in the morning from I am peace to I am present as you're opening the fridge, as you're giving your kid a hug, all these things. So you can merge those in every day, but you can also be playful with them. Just be aware, when am I not present? When am I at peace? That's how we create change. The next one is I am primal, the intention to build paths towards your primal intelligence with daily diligent curious pursuit to instinctual union with self. So primal intelligence for me is the felt sense of the body, where you feel that shiver up the spine. You feel that closing of the airway, that constriction, where you realize something's not okay here. So when you're primal, you really are aware, and you let those senses guide you, that primal intelligence. And then the awareness is the key for this one. It's a 5-week. There's week 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're aware of how you are feeling before, during, and after. So only with awareness will you use this, because you have to first choose to use it and then be aware, and then you'll use it more because you feel a shift. Just like if you choose to drink more water, be obsessed about that for a while. Once your mind is turned on and your body's moving more fluidically, you will never stop drinking water, because it just is a key staple to what works for you. So bring in that awareness. And the first week, like I said in the rewilding movement, choose an I am statement to be intentional with. For me, I pursued I am love for a whole year. It might be I am peace. Maybe you just choose to use one of these. But as you are, the week 1, you're aware of your hands, the next week your feet, the next week what you're seeing, smelling, thinking. So the whole first week, you're just aware of when you go to grab your glass, oh, it's a different temperature. I feel a different texture. And I'm grabbing it with love because I chose I am love. So I'm holding it a little bit. I'm not holding it so tight. And when I'm washing my dishes, I'm doing it with full appreciation and gratitude for this plate that just held my food. When I touch my partner, when I touch anyone, it's with love. I'm in my hand. I'm not on my phone that's over here. So, and you merge it in with that. So that's how you live life with intention, and you pursue that. And all of a sudden you witness this ripple, this shift, your relationships change. And then the next week you'll do that with your feet. Oh, I'm on carpet, I'm on soil. You start to walk a little bit lighter. You start to float. You know, people are like, what's happening with you? You feel different. And it's because you're aware of your feet, and you're in I am love. So I'm not going to walk around stomping around on my feet and being disrespectful. I'm going to be like kissing the earth, and I'm going to be pushing into it ever so gently. So you just find you add buoyancy to your life. And then you're seeing, all of a sudden you're like, I never saw that flower before, or I never saw a bee quite like that. You just start like seeing, and then you're also aware you're breathing at the same time. You're aware of the smell when you walk into a room. Maybe it doesn't smell good and you're like, ooh, I'd like lavender in here. And you know that lavender amplifies you. So you choose to put something in the room to smell good with, but you're aware that you're smelling, and then you're aware of what you're thinking. And is it helpful or not helpful? So you do this for 5 weeks. You can go on to my site, IamReWilding.com, and you can click on join the I Am Rewilding movement. You get this practice, and there's also a video on there you can watch too. And then once you've done it for 5 weeks, you can then initiate yourself to the next level, because there's a whole nother rung. And then you just keep habit stacking this in, and you start living wild and free. And then as you go, essentially, like, you never lose this. The next week, come week 6, you're aware of your hands and your feet. Can you imagine how much more present we would all be, and how much more at peace, and how when we are there, people are mirroring that. I'm going to top that one up with, but at the very bottom here, you'll see I'm devoted, I'm diligent, I'm reverent. It takes those qualities, and to build them every day, build a rut to these practices, to really experience the chemistry shift and the vibration shift in your body. And it's like, I just think, you know, we all have these mirror neurons. So science says, I smile, you smile. I'm experiencing something sad, and you're like, oh, I kind of feel sad too. So just that awareness, if you just obsess with yourself and you find peace every day, because you know when you're not there, how that energetic currency, it can be seen in a smile, in soft shoulders, and maybe a little bit of a slower walk.
Mm.
Or it can be, felt when that person walks in the room and you're like, wow, the energy just shifted. That will create a ripple. People will see it. They will want to do it with you. You'll get to grow together, wild together. And then in that, we literally will infect the world with I am rewild.
Yes, we
Like
will. One
yeah,
wild
so
soul at
let's
a
create an
time.
I am rewilding movement where literally we're not creating ripples anymore. We're creating waves. And more
Yes.
people are feeling at peace. More and more people are thinking from their heart, acting from their heart, and producing from their heart. Yeah. I
It's
just think
beautiful.
it'll
And as you're speaking, just to share my experience going through this 5-week challenge, going through bringing the awareness back, even into my hands and my feet, I was noticing discomfort. Like I was noticing, oh, okay, how long have I been feeling that for? And maybe I've just been on autopilot in my body. And the more I connected in with my body, the more I was thinking, wow, interesting that I've had this shoulder discomfort, and how long have I had that for? And so I started to ask myself and my body, what is this here for? And I kept hearing, um, it's kind of funny, but I kept hearing energetic boundaries. And I was noticing in those moments of life when I was connecting into I am rewilding, what was happening around me. And I wasn't actually feeling like I had any space. And so I was, continuously tying up these little threads going, interesting. Thank you. Thank you. And I started to really understand my physical sensations in connection to my emotional well-being while going through the process of just, it's not something to do. It's a way of life. It's a way of being. It's a way to be intentional in everything that I'm doing, and holding the glass and feeling the water and just bringing me back to that connection, and recognizing that there was discomfort, and there still is at times discomfort, going, even though I have this pain in my body, I love myself. And just really bringing love back in. And I get emotional because it's like I'm choosing myself. I'm choosing to feel. I'm choosing to witness, to observe, and to honor myself. And I get a little emotional because it's just, it's perfect in harmony to what I'm experiencing in my life. So thank you for bringing your rewilding movement and having me be a part of it. It's like,
you're so very welcome. Yay.
there's my little tears for you of gratitude, but it really is. It has touched me in a way where I now understand why I dance on the mountaintop naked.
Yes.
It's like, what is happening with her? And don't you worry, it's on 40 acres and nobody can see me, but it doesn't matter. The bears are like, finally, she's arrived.
Yes, thank you. And I always say thank you. You're welcome for my authentic expression.
You're welcome. But it's really supported me in understanding and what I'm currently witnessing in my world, and how I am really inspired to bring peace and calm and harmony back into my home. And, behind the scenes, I have been donating and really releasing all of this physical
Mhm.
stuff that no longer
You're aware of
serves
it
me.
now and how it's affecting you.
Yes. And so it's very, very beautiful pairing it with the work that you're doing and embodying a little new piece of myself. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's that reception of medicine for self, and then being able to then be whole enough that I can now give it. And then
Yes.
now you're receiving it, and now you're choosing to use it. And then, like for me, I just think it's meant to be shared, and it's pretty cool to witness someone that's using it, and to be a part of it. And what I wanted to share, I know this is wrapping up, is for those that want to join this, not only do you go to my website, you download this. From there, there's an I am Rewilding Facebook page where, for me, my biggest passion and fulfillment in life is the follow through on relation. So for you to be able to say, this is something I'm experiencing. So it's a community where we are all growing wild together. We're all navigating this life together. And there's no shortcut. We've got a long trail ahead, but yet we're all in our own. But here we are in a community where many are doing it as well. And it inspires you. I'll put on different posts on there to inspire you even more, give you more tools, some free online sessions where we can actually talk through some scenarios. Because until then, until you use it in life, it's just another book and it's another thing you're listening to, but you haven't done it yet. You haven't experienced it in your storm. So for me, if we can get it to that point, and I get to be in the honor of being a part of that journey, I know I will learn so much. And I know that it'll be just medicine for the whole community. So please head to the website, download it, start your journey, be devoted, diligent, reverent, and join the Facebook page and the movement. And yeah, let's start a movement.
Let's do it. I am rewilding. Woo! Thank
Yes,
you, Brandy.
you're welcome.
I'm so honored to be here speaking with you, and thank you for sharing all of your beautiful glory with our guests. And all of those of you that are listening, all of the links will be down below in a bio, in a description. So I look forward to connecting with you again soon, Brandy. And thanks again for everybody who's watching.
Yay. Love you, love you, love you, all of you.